going to do a little bit of intention setting. We're going to tell our mind and body that we belong here today. So if you can put both your hands on your heart, and after 3, I want you to repeat nice and loudly, I belong here. Okay? I want you to say it with passion, and I want you to say it with love. And I want you to say it nice and loud 3 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I belong here. And again. I belong here. And one more. I belong here. Well done. Give yourself a round of applause. My name is Falguni Patel, and I talk about unbelonging as a power, and why walking away can be the ultimate act of liberation. The moment we are born, for most of us, we are branded with our religion, caste, culture, and traditions. Our path is pretty much set out for us. We belong to a group and we must adhere to the rules and regulations. And this dictates what we think, what we say, and how we show up in the world. Then we have the education years. Schools, colleges, universities, institutions, they all determine who we are and give us a status. A status for adulthood, parenthood, employment, and the property market. Now, if all of this is already set out for us, when do we get to say, I don't like this plan and I want to step away? When I was a child, I remember being told that I needed to learn to cook and clean, otherwise no one would marry me. Imagine telling a little girl, you need to learn to cook and clean because nobody will marry you. My path was pretty much set out for me. I was to study and become either a doctor, lawyer, or an accountant, then get married only to another Patel, then have children and live there happily ever after in a perfect home. A beautiful plan. And I bought into it, just like many others. I can tell you now, none of it went to plan. Why? I was too much of a rebel. I had too many questions, and I wanted to do things my way. Now, here's the issue. Wanting to step away, saying no, and asking too many questions becomes problematic if everyone does it. So how does society sell us belonging? How does society sell us belonging? Through fear. It tells us that we will be shunned, outcasted, mocked, and laughed at if we step away and say no to anything which is expected of us. Another example from my childhood. In my culture, girls around age from 5 onwards are made to fast and pray so we can be blessed with a loving and caring husband and in-laws. And we are told that if we don't do this properly, we won't make good wives and we will get horrible husbands. Now, the fasting wasn't the problem with me, but I had questions. I wanted to know if my loving and caring husband-to-be was also fasting and praying so he can be blessed with an amazing wife like me. What do you think? Yeah, exactly. Now, this isn't a modern day issue. Did you know in ancient Egyptians, they were told that if they can't belong in this life, they had no room in the afterlife. If they can't belong in this life, there was no room for them in the afterlife. And this was determined when they were dead. Their heart was weighed against a feather. Imagine that. Now, as humans, we are social creatures. None of us want to feel left out. We all want to belong, no matter who we are, where we are, and at what stage of life we're in. In today's world, we have modern ways of belonging. We have social media versus antisocial. We have yoga versus Pilates. Any football fans in here? Yep, quite a few hands. Now, you wouldn't dream of changing and supporting another team, would you? No matter how good or bad your team was, right? Because I know I wouldn't. And now this next one is going to leave the room divided. We get so passionate about this one. Android versus Apple. I've seen people get into arguments about this, and because you're laughing, I know you've been involved too. Show of hands, if you've ever been in a WhatsApp group. That's pretty much everybody. Keep your hands up if you've then ever tried to leave a WhatsApp group. That's pretty much, again, all of us. It's the single most difficult decision we have had to make. I know somebody who was going to go as far as changing his number. I laughed, yeah. But we've got to ask ourselves, why? Why is something so simple so difficult to do? It's difficult to do because of what we are taught about honor, commitment, and loyalty. Once we belong and commit to something, we must see it through till death do us apart. And we attach these vows to every situation. Now, belonging is difficult. So we've got to ask ourselves, if we attach these vows to everything, how do we know when something is conditional versus authentic? Yeah? Conditional belonging versus authentic belonging. Here's an example. When I was 10, every Sunday morning, I had to walk 30 minutes to go to learn to read and write Gujarati, which is my native language. My parents felt me being able to speak it wasn't good enough, that I also needed to learn to read and write because it was their way of belonging to the tradition they had left behind back in India. I could tell you now, I hated it. I would kick up a fuss every Sunday morning, and eventually they gave up. However, in my GCSE years, aged 14, 15, I willingly chose to study Gujarati as my chosen language. And I passed with an A star, which is now a level 9. Mane Gujarati lakhta ane vachta avde chhe. It's all right. You don't need to clap for me. I can now read and write Gujarati. So that's conditional versus authentic belonging. So then how do we know when it's time for us to unbelong? How do we know when it's time for us to unbelong? I want you to keep this in mind, okay? The word mind, M, is costing you money. Unused gyms, clubs, and subscriptions is costing you money. In January 2025, which is last year, by the way, an estimated £503 million worth of gym memberships went unused. Yep, I'm guilty of it too. Yep. So it's costing you money. I You're losing your identity. You no longer do the things you once loved and which define you. I used to love writing poetry. I'd write it on the back of envelopes. Now, I'm too busy scrolling on social media. So something I used to love doing and which defined me, I no longer do. N is for neglect. You are being neglected at home, at work, or in a relationship. And D, disrespect. You're being disrespected, your views, your ideas, and you as a person. So I want you to keep that in mind. M is for you're losing money. I, you're losing your identity. N, you are being neglected. And D, being disrespected. We have a choice. And as a society, we need to normalize walking away and teaching the younger generation that it's okay to put yourself first and that you're not being selfish. Unbelonging is when you take a stand against a view or belief where you are being oppressed, you no longer have a voice, and you are no longer your authentic self. Walking away in these situations is the ultimate act of liberation. And staying can have mental health implications. An environment where you no longer see yourself flourishing can become toxic, and you end up hating and resenting the people and places you once loved. So you have a choice. Who, what, where, and when you want to unbelong. Thank you.